Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm continuing our Wednesday series looking at art, specifically icons. And I have more books on the interpretation and praying with icons, but I thought I'd throw you a little bone to those creative people who are just dying to jump in. This book is called Techniques of Traditional Icon Painting, which is an odd word. If you know, you know. But it is by Gilles Weissmann and published by Search Press. It also has, this is paperback, but it has these lovely extra images. Some more icons on the back. Quite the large one back here. It says back here, Gilles Weissmann studied in the Beaux-Arts in Paris, exploring Egyptian painting, sculpture, Chinese Buddhist art, Mesopotamian and Roman art. He then studied icon painting and became the assistant of Professor Genevieve Governor. He now has his own studio and School of Iconography in Paris, where he teaches and paints. That is quite a spiritual journey in art. You have to admit that one is quite the spiritual journey. Well, let's look and see what's in here. Again, it's Search Press. Maybe that's why Search Press talks about his journey. It was first published in Great Britain in 2012. Reprinted in 2014 and 2017. Seems very popular. The original title was Les Icones de Tradition Byzantine. The English translation was by Helen Stokes at Cicero Translations. English typeset by Greengate Publishing Services. Printed in China. There's a note. Handle all pigments with extreme care and follow the supplier's advice. Avoid inhaling fine powder and wash any that gets on your skin, as some are toxic and even carcinogenic. Avoid ingesting any pigment and take particular care when handling cadmiums and lead-based paints. That's this tiny note over here. Yikes, don't do this on your own. It's going to give you some great things, but here's the table of contents done in a more artsy contemporary way. One is Origin and Principles, which talk about the Incarnation, the tradition of the holy images, the icons, pictorial language. You can see I got a little flabbergasted. The Incarnation, the I in Incarnation is not capitalized. I think this is striking me more of a book about painting technique than it is about writing or praying icons. So that does concern me a little bit, but you can still learn something from this. 2 is Tools and Materials, the panel, drawing materials, gilding materials, painting materials, pigments, and varnishes. 3 is about choosing a subject, no subheadings. 4 is Preparing the panel, choice of wood, preparing the support, preparing the rabbit skin glue, beginning the gluing process, attaching the fabric, adding the gesso, and sanding. 5 is Byzantine drawing, the Byzantine style, drawing on paper, drawing with a paintbrush. 6 is on about gold, applying gold with oil-based size 40, applying gold leaf using water gilding. 7 is about color and life, the iconographer's palette, opening the icon, starting with the shadows, how the highlights are applied, adding the highlights to your icon, finishing the clothing, finishing off, using the dry brush technique, other icons, stage by stage, gallery and gallery of students icons. 8 is inscriptions, and it says adding the name. I've never seen it said adding the name. I've only ever seen it like writing an icon, naming the icon, but adding a name, it says. Examples of inscriptions. Chapter 9 is Olipha and Varnish, which includes Olipha and varnishes. And then there's a bibliography at the end. The Byzantine Empire collapsed 5 centuries ago, so why does its unique art still flourish today? Practiced not only by Christians in the East, but increasingly also by those in the West. What is it about an icon that appeals to us? Why should you paint one? And how should you go about it? This book invites you to find out. An icon depicts one or more important Christian figures, men and women, who have restored the original beauty of the human being, George Drobot, iconographer, and who are depicted in a universe glowing with peace and serenity. An icon is a spiritual treasure for all humanity, which awakens our most intimate and essential nature. Iconography offers a rich heritage provided by the work of those who have chosen to share their knowledge of the eternal realities of the spiritual world. By carefully considering the influence of shape and color on the human soul, they created a language capable of embodying these realities. Byzantine painting teaches us about the invisible, about our strengths, and it evokes that which is everlasting. The icon is a meeting place between the divine and human realms. It helps you to find the sense of our lives. As iconographer Leonid Ouspensky said, Not only do these images reveal to man a universe transformed, but they also allow him to engage with it. The icon speaks the language of a secret, forgotten region of the human soul. It reminds us of our own luminous nature, and this is why when we look on an icon, we feel a sense of recognition. Developed over many centuries, Byzantine pictorial language is a testament to an extraordinary knowledge of form and invention of a new kind of beauty, capable of impregnating matter with the sense of greatness of a message that is eternally young. Part of the icon's symbolism is transmitted through the techniques used to create it. The meaning and content of the icon effectively determines the iconographer's style, materials, methods, stance, and actions. In this way, the stages of the painting constitute a symbolic rising from the shadows towards the lighter tones, achieved with finely worked, organized, and well-chosen materials. You can see what I say when people say they pray an icon. A living art accessible to all, this traditional technique is not relegated to history. It has been passed down from master to student since its conception. Rediscovered at the beginning of the 20th century, the icon has become familiar to an increasingly large number of people, accessible to all, even those who feel they cannot draw well. These traditional techniques require patience and perseverance, most of all. Conceived as a practical guide to creating icons, this book aims to remain faithful to this authentic art. I hope that during your apprenticeship, you will find pleasure in the joy of heaven on earth. And I have a friend who paints icons, and she swears she could not draw a stick, but she can paint icons, and she feels that it's completely love and grace of God. It then begins again with the incarnation, which does catch my breath because it has a lowercase I. It could just be a typographical error. The founding event in Christian iconography is the mystery of the incarnation of the Son of God. In becoming man, the invisible God became visible. It is therefore possible and indeed necessary to portray Jesus. And much like our book from last week, it discusses the first icon, the dandelion. It is one of the most famous ones, and it was in this book on praying about it and learning about it. And so you can look at it again. It's nice that I think we ended with that one last time, and you can begin with this one in this book. It says, the legend recalls that King Abgar of Edessa, a person with leprosy, old outdated book, sent his archivist, Hanan, to ask Christ to cure him. Since Christ was unable to make the journey, Hanan tried to create his portrait, though he was unable to capture the appearance of the Savior. Jesus washed his face and dried it with a piece of cloth, and as he did so, his features were imprinted on the mandolin, the handkerchief, with which he handed to Hanan. When King Abgar looked at the image of the holy face, he began to heal. Later, Christ sent St. Jude Thaddeus, the apostle, to Abgar to help him recover completely and to convert all his people. Abgar showed such great devotion to the icon that was not made by human hands that he had it placed in a niche above the main gateway into the city. But when his grandson became king, the new king decided to destroy the icon. When the bishop of Edessa learned of the new king's intentions, I love it when name unavailable calls, he prevented the destruction by first placing a burning lamp in front of the icon and then sealing up the niche to preserve the image. When Chosroes, king of Persia, besieged the town in 544, it goes on to give you the legend of this piece of art and how we got into the tradition of the holy image. It even gives you such great diagrams as this to show you places where different art would go. This is the iconostasis. It is the screen that separates the nave from the sanctuary in Byzantine churches, and on which icons are attached in a certain order. The screen acts as an intermediate between the physical world and the invisible world, and the invisible spiritual world it portrays. And so it gives you the alphabet letters, and it probably talks about that on the next page. Talks about the 12 great feasts, the presence, the iconographer. The pictorial language then. I was hoping it would talk a little bit about the spiritual symbols. I was hoping to find in the mountain. I talked to you about space before. Here it has about conception of it, the iconic style, symbolism, beauty, light, transparency, man, space, time. What are your tools and materials? Right, this book is about painting. So it's going to give you great pictures in here and descriptions. The page numbers are in the bottom outside corners, so easy to find your new section and pretty easy to see when it's a new chapter. This one talks again about the tools and materials. You can see it has a great use of bulleted lists, as well as all of these great photos and even diagrams. So it's a pretty thorough book. Remember, the author called this an apprenticeship in how to paint. How to create a likeness, not an imitation. Interesting. And there's an iconographer's prayer here on page 23. It says, O divine Lord of all that exists, enlighten and direct our souls, our hearts, and our spirits. Guide the hands of your servant so that he may worthily and perfectly portray your image, that of your Holy Mother and of all the saints, for the glory, joy, and adornment of your holy church. Lovely. So there was a prayer in here, as well as all of these lovely diagrams. Look, even how to prepare the panel, a little checklist box, starting out with choosing the wood. And again, tons of diagrams and even a simple layout. Why does the picture sometimes go outside the frame? There is a very particular reason for that. And just, a lot of this is so simple, but he gives you these great sketches to help you move along your way as well. That is if you want to sketch it out on paper first. Just some beautiful, simple things. Talks about the gold. I think we covered all the chapters. Really talks about that color and light. You start with the shadows and you move towards the light. Again, it's very symbolic and precious. Again, some of the painting techniques, see how he starts out simple and he goes to the more complex, adding the details. This book gives you so much information, even on strokes, directions, right? It is very thorough, picture by picture, step by step, with added arrows and whatnot to help you along your way. Helps you create a few of the really iconic icons. I was really going to say that. I apologize. And then it has gallery of student icons in the back. I don't think it gives you their names. Sorry, they're all glossy pages, so it's a little tricky for me. Oh, I must have lost it. Oh, it also gives you some of the inscriptions. Our painting is not an icon until it receives a name or inscription. The inscription that links the work to the saint it represents. Inscriptions on ancient icons are written in the language of the Byzantine, liturgies, but many iconographers use one of the modern languages. It tells you how to add the names, but it also gives you examples in Greek and Slavonic, over and over for the different ones. So I'll show you. Sorry. So like here is the image, and then here are some of the examples of Greek and Slavonic names. For Nativity of the Mother of God, the Presentation of the Virgin of the Temple, the Annunciation, the Nativity. So it gives you, there's several pages of these, giving them to you in Greek and Slavonic. Nice. And again, it ends with the ending, telling you how to finish do the varnishes at the end. And then a short bibliography. It's just one page, but you get all this beautiful artwork just for getting the book. The pages are all glossy, full color, lovely book. So if you're still studying icons and even if you have a master or a teacher, this could be used as reference more for the techniques than anything, but you would have that. Whew, that was a lot. Friends, may God bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and may the good Lord bless you in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.